Hello everyone, it's Brett here, Lionheart84. It's another Sunday and I'm doing another walk in the woods and around the suburban road. There's nothing urgent to do in the garden, plus it's drizzling a little bit at the moment, so I decided as it's drizzling that I might as well go for a walk. Got my hood, got my jacket, got my walking boots. So I'm starting off in the local woods. It's a little bit muddy, you can see we've had a fair bit of rain recently. And I'm just going to do a few short blips of videoing because it's raining. It's not ideal for having the camera out. It's not ideal for walking in, but I feel I need to get out and get some exercise done. And there's always a few interesting things to see, like the amazing form on this tree. Quite unbelievable how some trunks grow like that. Anyway, I'll catch you in the next part of the video. It never ceases to surprise me how we can be walking what I consider to be an English woods, and then we get some patches of what I would consider to be a very exotic and not native plant like this, which I would guess is either a form of bamboo or a form of grass. I'm not too sure which. They don't look like bamboo canes, but they don't look unlike them either. It's quite amazing that this has suddenly formed patches in the middle of an English forest. Seems to be doing well here. The climate's obviously suiting it. And also this particular forest is well known for having a population of wild rhododendrons. Of course they're not in flower unfortunately in early January, but they will have flowers on them in come sort of April time, mid-spring. And there's actually some very large groups of rhododendrons in here, especially near the lake that I featured last week. Anyway, back to the walking. I just wanted to show you that basically this area is a very high clay. So there's a little gully here that the water has cut itself through the forest for drainage, but you can see that just under the surface, and it's only literally 2 or 3 inches deep, is a very high quantity of clay with a lot of gravel mixed in on it. This is considered to be what they call a London clay area, and it does cause problems with growing certain plants here, because obviously drainage is a serious issue with the clay. However, it does seem to suit the rhododendrons. Just to give you an idea just how many wild rhododendrons this patch of forest has in it. Look at these huge areas of rhododendron growing here, and they're obviously enjoying the clay soil, and probably with the amount of leaves that come off the trees, it's probably quite acidic as well. As I said, unfortunately January is not flowering time. They're only just starting to swell the flower buds up, but they will be flowering probably in April. You can see these buds are a little bit more swollen, and these are definitely flowering buds on a rhododendron. But there are very large groves, or whatever you want, groups of rhododendrons, whatever you prefer to call them, and they've obviously been here for a very long time, as they're very well established and spread out. Anyway, back to the walk. Unfortunately, they're very hard to see with my poor quality phone camera, but there's actually quite a lot of parakeets, green parakeets in this forest. I was kind of hoping that moving around they might disturb them and they'd fly off, or at least make a suitable squawking noise, but I can see about 5 or 6 of them. There they are. Suddenly moved. There's 5 or 6 of them up in that tree there, and they're quite, there's pigeons up there as well. Yes, I have to get myself one of those really high quality cameras if I wanted to show, but they're quite naturalised here now. Apparently there's 50,000 of them at least in the southeast of England, and they're very common in London, but even in my area there's plenty of them. But sorry if you can't see them properly, but at least yeah, you can probably see that one preening himself. So those are green parakeets, bit of wildlife for you in my local forest. Incidentally, I'm just doing the occasional walk when it's not suitable for doing any gardening or stuff at home, but I also had a couple of my subscribers or followers that they quite enjoy the occasional sort of nature walk and walking around the residential areas and looking at different things, because a few of them have said they're quite housebound due to, unfortunately, to health issues, so they don't get out for walks. They actually quite like to see what's around, and I thought I'd feature this extremely old, I presume, looking at it, I think it's an oak tree. As you can see, it's obviously a very, very old tree, and large parts of it have completely rotted out and died, but it is actually still alive on this side of the tree. And it's quite interesting because when they try to heal themselves, I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but the bark over a long period of time rolls around the rotted and damaged parts of the stem on a mature tree. This wouldn't be so obvious on one of our small fruit saplings, but you can actually see that gradually it tries to heal itself by rolling the bark over the edge. I mean, it's not going to obviously heal this tree that's rotted there, but it does mean that the section that's still alive looks likely to stay alive a few years longer. It'll probably be here much longer than me, that's for sure. But it's a wonderful old tree. From the width of the trunk, I'd say one of the oldest that's been in this forest. Could have been here for hundreds of years. Anyway, on with the walk, moving to a residential area now. So I'm back on the high road here, and I think it might have been you, Vox, you were saying in your area that there are some, when there have been Victorian houses, they've been converted into flats, and that is very much the case here as well. These substantial Victorian semi-detached houses and terraces that comprise of 4 stories, we've got a basement and 3 other stories, would, when they were originally built, all have been single houses, and probably would have had some kind of maid or servants' quarters or a kitchen in the basement, but these now would have all been converted to, well, most of them will be converted to 4 or 5 different apartments. There are exceptions. This house here, which has got electric gates on it, is very clearly still a single residency, complete 1-bedroom house. I dread to think all that's worth. But they're very common in this particular area on the outskirts of London, because people used to be able to access London very easily from here. And even on the other side of the road there's small areas of woods. We're not that far here from Epping Forest, which is obviously a substantial forest area. But as we move away from those sort of Victorian terraces, we move into the period of probably 1930s houses. Anyway, I won't bore you with too many house videos. We'll carry on with the walk. There's a little surprise here in someone's front garden. A camellia in full bloom early in January. They do flower in winter quite often here. And this white one's obviously doing very well. So we do get to see a little bit of colour out when we're walking around, as well as the evergreen plants. Oh, and here's a pink camellia as well. Pinky red one. Beautiful. Nice to see a bit of colour out in January. Now this residential street is slightly more interesting because unusually it's got a very wide, so it's raining so it might fog up the lens. It's got a wide greened off area. I'll try and hold the camera down so it doesn't get rain on the lens too much, but it's got a very wide area of plants growing here, which is not normal. Not quite sure why they did this on this particular road, but I suppose it cuts down noise and sound from cars going past, but it wouldn't of course be noisy road anyway because it's a quiet residential road with not too many cars on it, but it does make it look a bit more interesting than some of the other roads I've been walking down. Not nice weather at all for walking. Right, I shall stop the camera before we get it too wet. Somewhat interesting. My borough, the London Borough of Redbridge, calls this a grow zone. I presume because I've got a patch of green they've decided to plant some trees in. Makes a change I suppose to get some trees planted around here. Whether or not I'd call it a grow zone is another matter, but it's nice that they're making the effort. Now for people who are interested in places of refreshment, this is one of the older traditional pubs in the area. This one's called the Traveller's Friend. Quite well known, has at times been extremely popular. Somewhat surprised it says the Spivs above the door. You can look that up if you want to know what a spiv is. Old English. And there's a nice little row of again I think these are probably Victorian semi-detached houses. This one's been converted into a private prep school. Nevertheless, quite nice, stylish, quite stylish buildings in their day. Now I actually live in an area called Woodford Green, and there is very much, that's the high road there in Woodford, and there is very much a green that runs along large sections of the high road. I'm just going to quickly cut across this bit here, show you the local pond on the green. Get run over, and we've actually got a fire station around there, one of the few that's still in operation in this area. They seem to have closed them all. How they deal with fires I don't know, but we've got the local duck pond here at Woodford Green, which also has an awful lot of seagulls on it. I suppose there is some way from the sea here. Sorry it's pouring the rain so I can't film very easily without getting messed up. As you can see, there's a fair amount of ducks on there and Canada geese. There are swans at times, so don't seem to be any here at the moment. Anyway, it's raining heavily, so I'm going to stop that bit of the video. That's Woodford Green, and I'll continue on the other side of the road. Now here's the other side of the other section of the green here, and this is actually a cricket pitch. Well, I have a feeling they won't be playing cricket on this anytime too soon. Still, it's okay to walk on it this time of year. Nice and grassy and it's well drained, it's not too wet. There's the clubhouse there for the local cricket team. Not the sort of thing I have time to sit down and watch. And I suppose I could do one day if we get a nice sunny Sunday. And you like your cricket. Obviously not going to appeal much to my American viewers. Probably never seen a game of cricket in their lives. Well, I've pretty much had to stop filming. You can probably see I'm absolutely soaked through. done about 4.5 miles. My target today is 5 miles, about 8 kilometres, but it's absolutely torrential now, the rain, so I've just cut back my route very slightly, and by the time I get home it should be over the 5 miles, but it's not suitable weather for filming. I'm holding my hood over the camera, and not suitable weather for walking. But what I'm trying to do is on Sundays, when the weather's acceptable and I'm not doing stuff on plants, I just want to get out and try and do a walk and get my fitness levels up a bit and burn a few calories off. But I'll probably stop the filming now because it's just too wet. Not nice at all. I'm looking forward to getting back and sitting down with a cup of coffee and watching some television. So let's just pause the video. Well, I'm very nearly home now, and typically enough it's finally stopped raining, but it hasn't done me any favour because I'm absolutely drowned. According to the pedometer on the phone, I've done a little bit over 5 miles, so just over 8 kilometres, about 11,300 steps, which is fine. My target was to do 5 miles. Probably if it had been dry, nice weather, I might have gone a little bit further, but just over 8 kilometres is fine, I guess. Probably burnt a few calories off. I'm going to have a naughty piece of cake with a coffee now and argue that my calorie burning means I deserve it. So anyway, thanks if you stuck with me on this video. Obviously I've done it in short snaps. It was too wet to film some of the interesting plants I saw, so I just stuck to a few bits and pieces of the walk that were viable. So a few unusual plants around. It's an olive there, been cut back but not due to cold damage. Anyway, thanks for sticking with me. Just remember to give me a thumbs up if you appreciate me doing a bit of exercise on your behalf. Subscribe to my channel. Click on the bell if you want to know when new videos come out. Hopefully a little bit drier than this one. I'll catch up with you all soon. Brett out for now.